In this video, we're going to explore a few different techniques for getting up and down from the ground. A couple of concepts to think about first. The first is around mobility. So we need to have mobility in the large joints, the hips and the shoulders, in order to allow us to comfortably come up and down from the ground. So when you're working with your clients, think about that first, warming up large joints, hips and shoulders. One thing you can even work on is just coming up and down a few times and getting folks used to this motion coming up and down. The other thing to consider when we are coming up and down like this is we're balancing two heavy forces in the body, the head and the pelvis, and they're sort of counterbalances. As I move forward, my heavy head brings more of my weight forward, but the pelvis can root back to support me. Things we can do to help support our clients with that learning, that balance of the head and the pelvis, those two heavy weights working together, is something like chair pose, where you sink down, bum leans back, head comes forward. So we can have folks maybe practice with that. We're coming up, we're coming down. The other great thing about chair pose or Utkatasana is it helps us to build strength in these muscles in the front of the thigh, the quadriceps. It's our largest muscle group and super important for any techniques coming up and down. So I recommend you work with chair pose itself. If you're working with folks in a chair, you can also do chair pose in a chair where you sit towards the edge of your chair, press down onto the thighs, and just lift the bum up and down a few times. So working with both those concepts, head forward, pelvis back, concept one. Second concept, getting that strength in the quadriceps. Now for our first technique, we'll do a spiral. So a spiral is moving down and sort of almost a half spiral motion, and then coming all the way back up. Here's the first step to that. And this also combines that mobility of hips and shoulders. So seated in a chair, lift up one arm. I've got my right arm up. I'll inhale here, and then on the exhale, I'm just going to spiral a little bit. So arm comes down around that left leg, maybe even past the knee. I'll do that a few times. So we'll inhale up and exhale forward. So working with that concept of pelvis back, head forward as I lean forward, also across body. So I'll maybe do 5. And then I'll come to the other side. So arm up, and then I exhale down. About 5 of these. So we're getting our clients used to these motions. And then as they feel a little bit more comfortable with that, let's say that's 5, we can start working on it from a standing position. So I'm going to go ahead and stand up. I'm going to have my chair with the seat facing me. And I'll do that same motion here, lifting up one arm, I have my right arm up. And then I'm going to go cross body. And I'm just going to place it onto the chair. So I also have here noticing head forward, pelvis back. So I'm lifting up and coming down. We'll do that again about 5 times, noticing I'm working with my mobility in the hips, in the shoulder, working also with strength in the quads. So it's about 5 on that side. We'll come to the other side, same thing. Another thing you might notice is I'm working with a wide stance. So feet are nice and wide, something we see in toddlers as they're starting to walk. They do so much squatting, coming up and down from the ground. Let's say that's 5. And whenever they're squatting, they're really pretty wide. So the wider we are, the wider base of support we have, the more stable we can be. So we can also encourage folks to have a wide stance. So I was just working with that, arm up, spiraling down. Let's see, where does that go to? Here's where we're trying to get to. Same arm, right arm up. I exhale, I bring the hand down. Now I'm down quite low here. And then what I'll do is bring the other hand down and try and bring myself down to the ground. So I'm spiraling down. When we're going up and down from the ground, one concept to practice is reversibility. So I can get up the same way I came down. So I have one hand down. See, I'm going cross body, left hand down. Right hand's on the chair. I start to lift my way up. And then let's come down again. So I've got my left hand ready, right arm is up. I'm starting to spiral, hand on the chair, other hand down. And then I bring myself down. Same thing, coming up. Left hand comes down to the ground. I'm just on my fingertips here, pressing down to lift our way up. So that's one technique, spiral on the way down. When I was doing this one, just to show you once more, notice I had no weight on my knees whatsoever. Some folks, it's a little bit difficult for them or painful to put weight on their knees. So in that spiral technique here that I'm doing, there's no weight at all on the knees. It's okay to have weight on the knees. You can try kind of a combo of a lunge and a spiral. So arm up, I come down, and then I can bring, say, one knee down, other knee down, and then come down. So we can do this in a few different ways, spiraling up, spiraling down. And the more we practice, the easier it's going to be. So that's technique one. Technique two, lunge. And this we can work with within the concept of backwards chaining. And backwards chaining is simply adding on one motion to another that we do in one direction, and then we do the same on the way out, reversibility again. So for example, I can inhale, arms up, exhale, coming forward. So I'm starting to do that nice sinking back with the pelvis. From there, I can bring one knee down. Then from there to come out. So we're not going all the way to the ground yet. Bringing that foot forward, in the forward fold, and then all the way back up. Now, as I'm doing that lunge, one thing to note, and I'll change my chair position just so you can see this a little bit better, is as I'm coming down, so I'm coming up, exhaling down, starting to bend into it. As I come into my lunge, you can see here, my foot's really quite far out to the side, that front lunge foot. Here, I can show you without the chair. See, it's quite far out to the side, a little externally rotated. The reason for that is when we come out of it, so let's say I'm coming down onto both knees, and then I come down onto my bum, and I come back onto both knees, bring the foot forward. In terms of mobility, it's much easier to bring that back leg forward and out to the side rather than back leg forward and up. You need a lot more flexion, bend to come straight forward into a lunge, less flexion, a little easier to go out to the side. So practice that again. So we could do that in a sequence. We inhale up, exhale down. I'm just making my feet nice and wide. From there, I can start to put one knee down to the ground, bring myself down, other knee back, and then come onto my bum. To come back out, I come onto my knees, hand or hands onto the chair. One foot forward, slightly externally rotated. Next foot comes forward, and then I come all the way up. So that's something you can practice. I'm going to do that one more time. Exhaling down, bringing one knee back, other knee back, and coming down. To come up, bringing that foot forward, slightly externally rotated, other foot forward, and then coming all the way up. It's possible that you might even work with clients to find a kind of combination between technique one, the spiral, and technique two, the lunge. Now, both of these techniques do ask quite a bit of flexion or bend from the knees, and a number of clients are not able to bend their knees that much. Sometimes it's because of, say, osteoarthritis or some swelling of the knee. Another technique that you can work with is coming down. So it's almost like a down dog, inhaling up, exhaling down. And then from here, I'm just going to start walking my way back. So I'm coming down really nice and low. Here, I might even bring my hands to the ground. And what I've seen some folks do is they'll then almost spiral by bringing the leg forward and coming out. So just to show you on the way out, I have my left hand up, my right hand's down. I'm going to spiral into my down dog. And then from my down dog, I can walk my way up, maybe onto a chair, and then come up. So to come down, coming down to the chair, hands down onto the ground, spiraling one leg forward to come down. So a lot less bend of the knees, and then spiraling my way to come back up, then hands onto the chair, and then walking way up. So that technique is if the knees just don't want to bend that much. So there's much less pressure on the knees. The bit though that you'll notice is you need a lot of flexibility in hips, lots of flexibility in the hamstrings for that variation. So any of the variations that you choose to work with, have a little assessment to see where is the client strong, where do they have the most mobility? You might even ask them, how have you before gotten up and down from the ground? And then just study it and see how you can add in a little bit more for fluidity.